What's up, YouTube? Thanks for checking out part 1 of my video about PearDeck, which I call Death to PowerPoint, and welcome to part 2. And part 2 is actually going to focus on what it actually looks like when you run the presentation that you create. I want you to see what the device that joins into your session looks like, teach you how to get people to join in, and how it all works when you put it all together. So this, to me, like I mentioned in part 1, which I put the link in the description below, just in case you needed it, is the real game changer. Because now it's not just words on a screen that kids or your audience are just kind of mindlessly staring at. That's actually going to be a full-on, interactive, simultaneously broadcasted presentation. So come on and let's check out how PearDeck actually works. Alright, so let's continue on with part 2 here. So I just logged in back to PearDeck, and I took the demo deck that I created with you guys right here, and what I did was I just kind of spruced it up really quickly so that it made a lot more sense than it originally did when I slapped it all together. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take the deck that you'd like to present, and you go ahead and you click on it. And when you click on it, what you're going to get is 2 buttons here. You're going to get Edit, or you're going to get Start Presenting. Now, the session on the bottom here means these are the different sessions in which you've already presented it, the amount of people that joined, and the rating you received at the end. It also gives you the date and time it was presented, and then you have some statistics over here where you can go ahead and click on the dashboard to give a review of the responses, which I'll get to in a second. And you also have the ability to kind of export the statistics, rename it, and kind of those things as well. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click Start Presenting. So once you present your slide, or your deck I should say, first thing you're going to get is a code. So you can see it says exothermic yards pursue red yards. So what we actually have here is an adjective, a noun, a verb, an adjective, and a noun. So there's kind of a little LA lesson. Each letter, based on its location, is going to produce a different adjective, verb, or noun, which is kind of a neat little feature, which you can tell is totally designed by teachers. So people say, well, what devices can connect to this? It is any device at all, as long as it can connect to the internet. So that is tablet, that is phone, that is desktop, that is laptop, that is futuristic holographic display. It doesn't matter as long as you have an internet connection. And what you're going to do with the internet connection is they're going to go to the website peardeck.com/join. So I'm going to open another tab here, and I'm going to do exactly that. So if I was a student, I would go like this, peardeck.com/join. And I'm going to pick the account I'd like to use, and I'm going to have the enter a code feature. So when I go over here, I'm going to get EYPRY, and I'm going to type that exact code in, ERYPY, and you're going to see if I look, it can't find any session. So I look back and I go EYP, and then I go back and I fix it, EYPRY, and it's going to say that there is a session, and it's going to automatically join you in with it. Then it's going to give me the ability to select my mood, and I'm going to say, you know what? Even though I feel happy, I just want to show you that the pear actually animates. I'm going to say I feel sad. And you can see the pear actually animates, and kids love that actually. So it says you're in and your teacher will begin shortly. So when you go back to the deck here, what you would see as a teacher is you would have a live count of the students that are actually joining in. So right here I say I have 1 student joined, which of course I know is me. You can control your slides by jumping directly to a slide by clicking here, or you can control with the arrows back and forth, or use the arrows on your keyboard. I'm going to go ahead and use the arrows on my keyboard, and I'm going to jump to the first slide. So I'm on the first slide. This is what's being displayed on the projector. This is what's being displayed directly on the device. So you're going to see that I'm in the presentation session here, and I'm actually, this would be if I was a student on my device, this is what would pop up, and this is in real time. So if I were to go back here, you would see that it's going to say your teacher will begin shortly. I go forward and it's going to say welcome to the demo, which is exactly what I want. Now if I go back to what the teacher sees, there's an incredibly powerful feature here. I'm just going to move this up a touch, and I'm going to make myself disappear now just so it's easier to see everything. What you're going to see is on these little dots here, you're going to see make full screen, open dashboard, turn on student pace mode, but I want you to focus right here on open dashboard and new tab. So once the dashboard loads up, this is an actual real live in time feature of what the kids see and what you see as their responses. So this is what the kids see on their device right now. So if I go to the next slide, it's going to say that I'm waiting for responses, and it's going to say there are two draggables. There's a red flag and a yellow flag. When I go to the actual session, this is what the kids are seeing on their phone, and if you take a quick look at that, you're going to realize that that's exactly what you see here in the dashboard. What is being projected on the slide as the teacher, which is right here, the instructions of dragging your flags, and on the right, what the students have on their device. So I can see the flags here. So I grab the red flag, I drag it, plop it over here on Canada, and I grab the yellow flag, I plop it here on into Australia. And what I actually see is, there's my responses working right So here. You're going to see that now I'm able to see exactly what they're doing. And you're going to see that there's a Students tab up here. When I click that Students tab, I can actually see who is in. So it's Master Heaves, it's me, it's my YouTube account. And I can hide the student if I don't want them in there. I could show them if I want them in there. Close this up. And then what I'm able to do, if I go to grid layout, is see exactly what Master Heaves, myself, responded. So that's where they put their flags. This is the overlay where I can see all flags moving at once. Now students don't see this because this is privately on your device. So I can say, okay, looks like Master Heaves is pretty close here. He knows what he's doing roughly. You know, I might have another situation where, for example, go ahead and grab the flag and then just drop them randomly. And then I look and I'd be like, oh boy, Master Heaves, I'm going to have to talk to him. And now you don't have to do the dreaded, who understands right now? And then the scared hand that goes up. Or I should say, who doesn't understand, and they're kind of like sheepishly like, ooh, I don't want anyone to know, so they hide. So the anonymity behind being able to do their work and then you being able to see their strengths and weaknesses is incredible. So we do our little lesson, we move on to the next slide. And you'll see, again, this updates in real time. So did I find Canada? I sure did. So I go ahead and I drag it on, and I can see, yes, there it is. And I want to check individually students' responses. Boom, there it is. Master Heaves has selected it there. So that's draggables. Another way to use draggables, which I love, is this, is for teaching grammar and punctuation. So I can look and say, okay, I've got 3 draggables here. I've got an exclamation mark, a question mark, or I should say question mark, exclamation mark, and a period. So I say, I'm so happy that I found PearDeck. I'm going to say it's probably yelling that out. So I'm going to go like this. Thanks for watching my video. That's a period. And then I'd say, will you be trying it out? And that's a question mark. So I think that's the proper way to punctuate the sentences. So I look back, and then the teacher sees what I'm doing, and again, can check in real time. This will be moving if there are multiple students. In real time where they put their responses. So then you can casually walk over and be like, hey, check the question mark. Or you can just project a specific response. So let's say I love this answer. And this was like the perfect answer. I could go ahead and I could project this response directly onto the screen, and then I'd have the ability to go ahead and say, you know, this is a great demo. If you had more students, you actually have the ability to click a star, and then you can star specific students as well, which is another incredible thing. So if I wanted them on the screen, I would have it under project, and if I wanted then just this, did you find it, that question, which looks like, or sorry, I was on the wrong slide. If I wanted it to punctuate the sentences, this would be what you would see directly on the projector. And then again, when I go project responses and I go back here, you can see that I'm projecting the responses. This is what would appear on the projector. After watching this, I wasn't entirely sure that I was clear. So just to make sure that we understand, I have 3 tabs open. The first tab is called the projector view, and that's what I would actually have appearing on my projector screen. The second is the dashboard view, which I have open, which allows me to see the students' responses in real time, but they can't see them. You can also connect to the dashboard view using another device. So for example, right now I'm using my Mac laptop, but I could take an iPad or an Android phone and go to peardeck.com/dash, D-A-S-H, and I could log in and then walk around the room seeing the dashboard, but still being able to control the projected responses. This is the tab that 99% of the time teachers are in when using PearDeck. The third tab is the student view, and this is what the devices that are connected to your presentation or to your PearDeck session are actually seeing. So just to clarify the difference between the 3 tabs, because I wasn't exactly confident in how I did it the first time. Hope that helps. So, really, really neat tool. So moving on, the drawing. So I had to draw yourself with an epic beard. So I go to the student. You see they have a full drawing palette at the bottom. They have different colors they can select. They have the brush. They have the size of the brush that they can use. They have the eraser. They have just the create line tools, and then text, which allows you to put, me with beard. And then where you click on the screen, that text appears. And you can change a couple different fonts, size, bold, and italic. So I grab the pen. I go ahead. I grab some gray. And then I can draw myself. You can see why I don't teach art. And I can give myself, a big red. I'll erase that stick just for example. Make the brush size bigger so it's quick and easy. So erase that stick. And then I go ahead and I just give myself an epic beard. And why not? A little thing. Anyway, so kids can draw with that. And again, if I look in real time, this is what was drawn. Here you can see the ability to project the specific response I mentioned earlier. Here is the star. So if I were to go project responses, that is the one that would appear on the screen specifically, or I could project all of them. And again, it's hard to demonstrate that with just one person signed in, but you can see the ability to scroll, and I'd be able to put up multiple ones. So that's how drawing works. Another feature that I love about this is, let's say the drawing, you're like, okay guys, come pay attention to me, and they're just way too into what you're doing. You can actually lock the screen. When you go back, you're going to see that your teacher has locked responses for this section, and it focuses, hey, why did you lock it? And the kids look around and you're like, hey, Kate, come back to me while I reteach or re-explain a concept. And you can also do the extremely devilish by clicking and holding on the lock, giving a timer. So you can give a 30-second timer. So now you're going to see this time ticking down. Oh, moved over here. Oh, moved over here. So as you put the arrow on, it actually moves around. And the ability is it doesn't get in the way when you're drawing. And now you can see that once this timer ticks down, so again, I'm a kid, I'm frantically trying to clean up this image. I want it to look exactly the way I do, so I'm picking, and all of a sudden I look and I'm like, oh no, a couple seconds left. So I'm stressing out, I'm panicking, which I love as a teacher. I love kind of that quick thinking. And all of a sudden my timer runs out and boom, it's locked. So now this is the ability, and as this kind of reloads up, here, I'll just kind of click over. Unlock the session. I can go ahead and proceed on with the presentation. There's also the ability to draw directly over images. So let's say I was teaching about science, which I do, and I wanted them to draw an X over the nucleus. They could go ahead and draw a nice big X over the nucleus and then clean it up if they made that mistake like I did of the check mark. Then I go to the real time and you can see that there it is right there. And then if I were to project the responses, there it would be here. And then without the projected response, again, you would just be able to see what the original question was. So that's how you use drawing. So then you have, what were your thoughts on the Thursday night football game? So, well, this is actually what they clearly see on their device. So there's the question. There's solely it on the projector. And then right here I can type in my answer. So I can just say, I thought Oakland was going to win. That ball totally hit the wire. Hashtag conspiracy. And then I would go ahead and I'd hit post. So here's my current answer. Let's say I didn't like it. I simply hit new answer as a student, and I'd be able to go ahead and make any modifications to my answer I wanted. Here you're going to see that this is what Master Heaves thought. There's the answer right there. And if I go ahead and hit project answers again, I could project the answers specifically or the ones that I want right here. Moving on to the next one. Same exact style, but I can say, what do you think of recess today? Too cold. Go ahead and you can see, boom, Master Heap says too cold. And again, you get these in real time. It's tough to demo that with just one person, but if I had 4, 5, 6 people, as their answers came in, boom, 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 you'd start seeing them pop up. And you can see really quickly what you like. So if I wanted too cold as an answer, you go ahead, star it, and then you project that right onto the response. Alright, so moving on, we'll go to the number one. So when we go to the number one here, you're going to see again waiting for a response, which is fantastic. And you go here and you say, what is 2 plus 2? So again, this is the simulation of the student device. So I'm going to say 2 plus 2 is 4, and I'm going to go ahead and hit post. So when I go to the dashboard, I'm going to see that a student has submitted the answer, of course, of 4. Now this is the overlay, so this is where all of them would appear simultaneously. I again can go to the grid to find out the specific entry of a specific student. And again, this is what will be on my projector. This is what I see on whatever device I'm using. And this is what I see if I was a student or one of your audience members. An interesting part here is that you can go new answer, and then you can go ahead, hit 2 and post. It'll erase the previous answer, and then I can resubmit, and it'll repopulate the number line. So again, another pretty handy feature. Again, we go here. Here's your example of true and false. So I'm going to say PearDeck is amazing, absolutely true. I go back, and you're going to see that if I had multiple students, there could be all of their dots here waiting to move up and down into true or false. If I switched it back to false, you would see again in real time it moves it here. And again, what you can do that students can't see is you can put over and say, oh, Master Heaps does not think PearDeck is amazing. Or again, switching back, you could say, oh, Master Heaps thinks PearDeck is amazing. So you can kind of see a nice little spread. And again, you can project the responses for the students to see after. Favorite thing to do is, again, put that timer on, make them think quick. Maybe it's a little devious of me, but devilish of me, but I do like it. All right, so the final type of slide is the website slide. So I click on here, the website, and it should redirect us to Wikipedia. So if I go to my student device, so this is what would be happening. It would actually bring the student directly to the Wikipedia slide or whatever website that you wanted, as long as it was that HTTPS, which is the secured website. And then they can actually, you can see I can freely navigate the website, go wherever it is I'd like to go on the website. And then when I'm done, my teacher switches the slide to, let's say over here, and then I'm brought directly back into the presentation. So it works really well. Now, let's say you're here and you're like, oh, shoot, I just got this great question. PearDeck has a really neat feature of ask a new question on the fly. Now, you can ask it new question type with the exact current content of the slide. This isn't the best example because it's blank. You can re-ask the same question, or you can ask a new interactive question. So if I were to go back, for example, to my nucleus, let's say to my nucleus one, and I were to say ask a new question, and I were to ask a new question, new interactive question, and I would say draw on grid, I could go ahead and just right on the fly ask a new question immediately, which is huge because sometimes as a teacher we get this kind of like incredible idea on the fly, and then we have to wait till later to get that kind of assessment, build the work piece or build the assessment tool. And in this way we can actually just go right on the fly. And another thing too, just right now I've got 2 + 2 = 0, and I'm teaching that lesson. I'm like, how come kids still 2 + 2 is 0? They're mixing up addition and subtraction. So I go ahead and I go ask a new question. So I can go re-ask the question. It's going to blank the answer right here. And I can go to the presentation and I can simply actually input an answer. I get my new answer and I can see that the answer is 4, and I can go, phew, they got 2 + 2 = 4. So that's awesome. So when you feel like you're all done the session, you just go ahead and you get to the end slide, and the last slide they always add is just good old Perry. So when it's all said and done, you can click on these dots right here and you can click on end this session. But before I do that, I got to show you something that's just my absolute favorite feature that they recently added, which is student paste mode. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. So with student paste mode turned on, I can now control the entire presentation at my leisure as an audience member. So a teacher can say, okay, I want you to check the following 5 or 6 slides and do some of the review for them. So I can actually navigate the slides, and you'll see that I can go back and I can change and I can check any slide that I would like simply by navigating the slide back and forth. So as I go back and forth, it allows me to ensure that I've double checked everything. I can sign extra work, and it tells me with this little check mark in the bottom here that I've answered the question that's actually on the slide, which is a really neat feature too. So let's say this has been going on for a few minutes and I've gone and I've taken the notes I'm supposed to take and I've answered all the questions. The teacher simply just goes like this, and I'll show you by putting on a blank slide. The teacher goes goes turn off student paste mode, and it'll bring the student back directly to the slide that I want. You can also lock the slide when in student paste mode as well. Alright, so let's say you're happy with everything, presentation's good. You go ahead and you click the triple dot and you go end this session. When you hit end this session, you have the ability to name it, so I'll call it Demo Deck YouTube. And you have the ability actually here to click Publish Takeaway. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. And what this is going to do is going to take all 19 slides that I've created, and it's going to format them into a Google Doc. And as it's formatted into a Google Doc, it's going to turn around and it's going to put this Google Doc directly into the Google Drive of each participant in your session. Now, just a little heads up, if you had like 60 slides and 50 people, it's going to take an incredibly long time to do that. So if you intend to publish takeaways, it's always a really good idea to make sure that you kind of have just a few slides that you really want to focus on, because PearDeck doesn't know to just publish the slides that you interacted with. So again, like for example, let's say you had 60 slides, but you only went through the first 20. It's going to publish all 60 for this takeaway. So this is incredible for review, for homework. Kids can never lose notes, as they say, or things can't crash, because you're going to have the ability to just say it's right in your Google Drive, and those are Google servers, and we know how reliable those things are. So when you're all happy and good, I'm not going to do a takeaway today. I'd go ahead and I'd go save and end this session. It's going to bring me right back to the drive, my Google home here, or sorry, my PearDeck home. So if you cut back to the student device, you're going to get this question when you end the session, only when you click end this session, to have the ability to kind of evaluate the lesson and say, how did it go? So I can go ahead and I can say yes or no. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, because I'm an egomaniac, and say yes. And everything is all done, and everything is fantastic here, and the student would just close up their device and head on to their next class or continue on with whatever activity you wanted. For the teacher, at the end, you can reopen the deck, and you can see that I had an evaluation here of 100%, and you can actually click on that, and it would tell you the mood of the student and the feedback that they gave you, which again is a pretty neat tool to be able to see what mood and the feedback per lesson. So if all of a sudden you get a ton of thumbs down on a lesson, it tells you as a teacher, hey, I better figure out a different way to teach that subject or that learning objective or goal, because it obviously didn't work as well. And if you get a lot of positive feedback, you know that things were going well. All right, so there you have it. That is how you present a deck that you create using PearDeck. Hopefully that helps you out and gives you kind of the little kick in the butt you need to go ahead and try to add a different element to your teaching. I encourage you to give it a try. It is quick, it is easy, and it is effective. I can tell you that I've seen such a turnaround in students' grades and their engagement when you use PearDeck. Kids come in and they're like, are we using PearDeck today? You know, are we trying it out? And no kid comes in and goes, are we having a PowerPoint today? So I think that it's a huge game changer in education. Definitely check it out. And yeah, I guess until next time.